Welcome to Tribute to Legends. I'm Alexander. This channel is dedicated to honoring extraordinary individuals whose lives and achievements continue to inspire long after they are gone. Here, we remember unforgettable figures from film, music, television, and culture, reflecting on their influence, their story, and the legacy they left behind. Every tribute is a celebration of a life that truly mattered. Timothy West, born on October 20, 1934, grew into one of those actors whose presence naturally filled a room. There was a steady warmth in the way he performed, balanced with a quiet authority that made even the smallest role feel important. From early in his career, he built a reputation for being deeply committed to his craft, especially on stage where his connection with the audience felt immediate and sincere. Classical theater work. Much of his respect came from his work in classical theater. He had a strong command over historical and Shakespearean roles, bringing depth rather than just performance. His portrayal of King Edward III in the 1975 production of Edward III showed his ability to combine strength with emotional subtlety. He also took on King Lear multiple times over the years, with each performance reflecting a different stage of life and understanding, making the role feel newly alive every time. Screen career and style. On television, Timothy West reached an even wider audience. His role in Brass highlighted his ability to balance presence with approachability, making him memorable without overstatement. Whether in grand historical settings or more personal dramas, he always adapted with ease and confidence. Legacy. Living to the age of 90, Timothy West left behind a body of work defined by consistency, discipline, and quiet passion. His legacy remains in the honesty he brought to every role, and the inspiration he continues to offer to performers who value true, grounded artistry. Peter Yarrow, born on May 31, 1938, became one of the most recognizable voices of the folk music era. As a member of the trio Peter, Paul, and Mary, he helped shape a generation's musical identity with harmonies that felt simple, emotional, and deeply human. Their songs were not just entertainment, they reflected the hopes and struggles of a changing world. Songs that carried messages. Yarrow played a key role in bringing storytelling into music in a way that connected with everyday people. Through well-known songs like Puff, The Magic Dragon, and interpretations of protest-era music such as Blowin' in the Wind, the group spoke to themes of peace, fairness, and understanding. Their performances often felt shared and personal, as if the audience and artists were part of the same conversation. A gentle and purposeful presence. What made Yarrow stand out was the calm sincerity in everything he did. Whether performing on stage or supporting community and education efforts, he believed music could encourage kindness and reflection. He consistently used his platform to promote positive social values without needing loud statements or attention-seeking gestures. Lasting influence and legacy. Over time, his music continued to reach new listeners. Many younger artists and audiences still connect with the honesty in his work, and his songs remain part of cultural memory. Even after his passing at the age of 86, his influence continues through the music that is still sung and shared today. Memoriam was born on December 29, 1946, and grew up during a time when London's creative scene was beginning to shift in exciting ways. From early on, she stood out for a voice that didn't aim for perfection, but carried emotion and honesty, something that later became her defining quality. Rise to recognition. She first gained wide attention with the song As Tears Go By, a soft and haunting track that introduced her to a global audience. While many saw her as a rising star of the 1960s music scene, what made her different was the emotional depth in her singing, rather than technical polish. Reinvention and return. Her journey wasn't smooth, and she faced several personal and professional challenges along the way. After stepping away from the spotlight, she made a powerful return in the late 1970s with Broken English. Her voice had changed, becoming rougher and more lived in, but it carried even more meaning and strength. Legacy Faithful also explored acting and other creative work, but it was her unmistakable voice that left the strongest impression. She passed away at the age of 78, leaving behind a legacy built on honesty, resilience, and artistic transformation that continues to inspire new generations. Ivan Dixon, born 95 years ago this week, is remembered as a steady and meaningful presence in American entertainment. While many people recognize him for his role as Sergeant Kincloy in Hogan's Heroes, his performance stood out for its calm strength, intelligence, and warmth. In a comedic setting often filled with chaos, he brought a grounded and thoughtful energy that made the character memorable and deeply respected by audiences. Beyond his on-screen work, Dixon also made a significant impact behind the camera. He moved into directing and creative storytelling, choosing projects that carried emotional depth and human truth. His career reflected a quiet commitment to quality rather than attention, showing that influence in film and television is not always loud or widely publicized. It can also be steady and enduring. He passed away at the age of 76, but his contributions continue to hold meaning. His work is still appreciated by viewers who value representation, professionalism, and authentic storytelling. Even today, his journey serves as an inspiration for new generations of actors and filmmakers who aim to bring honesty and care into their craft. Born on July 18, 1929, Dick Button grew up to become one of the most important names in the history of modern figure skating. His influence went far beyond winning medals. He played a major role in transforming how the sport was performed and appreciated around the world. From an early age, he showed remarkable talent, combining creativity with strong technical skills that set him apart from other skaters of his time. Olympic success and innovation. As his career developed, Button achieved the highest level of success by becoming an Olympic champion. What made him truly special was his willingness to push boundaries. He introduced new and challenging moves that had never been seen in competition before, helping to modernize figure skating. During an era when skating was more traditional, his style brought freshness, athletic energy, and artistic expression that inspired many future athletes. A voice that shaped the sport. After retiring from competition, Button didn't step away from skating. Instead, he became a respected commentator. His deep understanding of the sport and simple, clear explanations helped audiences better connect with what they were watching. He made complex routines easier to understand, allowing fans to truly appreciate the skill and beauty involved in each performance. Lasting legacy. Dick Button remained closely tied to figure skating throughout his life, continuing to influence the sport both on and off the ice. He passed away at the age of 95, leaving behind a powerful legacy of innovation, dedication, and passion. More than just a champion, he will always be remembered as a pioneer who helped shape the future of figure skating. Goldie Hawn has long been recognized as one of Hollywood's most distinctive comedic and dramatic voices, but her story is not simply one of fame. It is one of resilience, reinvention, and emotional depth shaped over decades. Born in Washington, D.C., in 1945, she entered a world that would later come to celebrate her brightness, without always understanding the shadows that shaped it. From an early age, she carried an unusual sensitivity, paired with a need to perform emotional stability, even when she did not feel it. That duality, light on the surface, turbulence beneath, would become the defining rhythm of her life and career. While audiences came to know her for infectious laughter and radiant screen presence, the foundation of that persona was built through discipline, and emotional survival, rather than effortless joy. Her eventual rise in Hollywood was not an accident of charm alone, but the result of years spent learning how to navigate fear, expectation, and self-doubt while continuing to move forward. This is not a story of sudden stardom, but of gradual emergence, where each phase of her life added complexity to the public figure the world would eventually adore. What makes her legacy enduring is not only her filmography, but the emotional truth embedded within it, an authenticity shaped by experience rather than performance alone. Early life and emotional formation. Goldie Hawn's childhood unfolded in a household where discipline and artistic structure were present, but emotional security was inconsistent. Her mother, a dance instructor, emphasized precision, posture, and achievement, while her father, though musically inclined, was often emotionally distant. This combination created an environment where expression was regulated and vulnerability had little space to exist openly. As a child, she experienced anxiety that manifested in physical ways, including episodes of panic and fear that she struggled to understand. Rather than being comforted through emotional language, she often learned to adapt internally, developing coping mechanisms that prioritized composure over release. Ballet became both refuge and pressure, an art form that demanded perfection while offering temporary escape. In these formative years, she learned to translate emotional turbulence into outward grace, a skill that would later become central to her acting presence. Yet beneath that composure, there was a persistent sense of unease, a feeling of existing slightly off balance in the world. These early experiences did not diminish her spirit. Instead, they shaped a quiet resilience. She learned how to continue functioning even when overwhelmed internally, a trait that would later define her professional endurance. Childhood for her was not simply a time of growth, but a long negotiation between fear and adaptation. Leaving home and the pursuit of expression. In her late teens, Han left Washington, D.C. for New York City with limited resources and a strong determination to pursue dance. The transition was not glamorous. It was marked by financial instability, uncertainty, and the emotional strain of building a life far from familiarity. She studied at the Martha Graham School of Contemporary Dance, where physical discipline and emotional expression were pushed to extremes. Training demanded not only technical skill, but also emotional vulnerability, forcing dancers to access deep internal states through movement. For Han, this environment intensified both her artistic growth and her internal struggles. She was not simply learning to dance, she was learning how to endure. The city itself mirrored this intensity, fast, indifferent, and demanding resilience from anyone who hoped to survive it. During this period, she also began to recognize that performance could be more than dance. There was something compelling about presence, timing, and emotional communication that extended beyond choreography. Though she had not yet entered acting, the foundations of her screen persona were already forming in these years. Expressive awareness, emotional timing, and the ability to convey feeling without words. Her early adulthood was defined by movement, both physical and emotional, as she searched for a place where her expression could fully belong. Breakthrough into television and public recognition. Han's transition into entertainment began unexpectedly, when her expressive personality caught the attention of casting professionals. She soon joined the cast of the sketch comedy program Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, which became her first major platform. The show's rapid-fire format, surreal humor, and cultural relevance made it a defining force in late 1960s television, and Han quickly stood out for her distinctive comedic timing and radiant screen presence. Her performance style was marked by spontaneity and a sense of playful unpredictability that resonated with audiences. However, behind the scenes, the pressure of sudden visibility created emotional strain. As her popularity grew, so did expectations, and she often grappled with anxiety before appearing on camera. What viewers perceived as effortless charm was, in reality, the result of intense internal preparation and emotional management. Despite these challenges, the show launched her into national recognition, transforming her from a dancer into a household name. This period marked the beginning of her dual identity, public brightness and private vulnerability. It was also the foundation of a career that would expand far beyond television, positioning her as a versatile performer, capable of navigating both comedy and drama, with equal authenticity. Film success, and the Oscar moment Han's transition to film, solidified her status as a leading figure in American cinema. Her performance in Cactus Flower earned her the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, marking a pivotal moment in her career. The role showcased her ability to balance comedic timing with emotional sincerity, revealing depth that extended beyond her television persona. This recognition placed her firmly within Hollywood's elite, but it also introduced new pressures. Fame brought visibility, and with it, scrutiny that often reduced her to a single dimension: the cheerful, blonde, comedic presence. While audiences celebrated her warmth, the industry sometimes underestimated her range and ambition. She was frequently cast in roles that emphasized charm over complexity, even as she sought more substantive opportunities. Despite these limitations, she continued to refine her craft, gradually shaping a career that resisted simplification. Her Oscar win did not mark an endpoint but a beginning, an entry into a system that both elevated and constrained her. Beneath the applause and recognition, she remained aware that success in Hollywood often came with invisible boundaries, particularly for women seeking creative authority beyond performance. Redefining career through independence. By 1980, Hawn took a decisive step toward creative control with the film Private Benjamin, which she starred in and co-produced. The project was a turning point, demonstrating her ability not only to perform, but also to shape narratives. The film's success challenged industry assumptions about women in leading comedic roles and proved that audiences were receptive to stories centered on female autonomy and transformation. This moment marked her evolution from performer to producer, signaling a shift in power dynamics within her career. However, this expansion also brought resistance. As she moved into roles behind the camera, she encountered skepticism regarding her authority and decision-making capacity. Despite these challenges, she persisted, continuing to select projects that reflected both humor and emotional complexity. Her career during this era was defined by strategic independence, as she sought to balance commercial appeal with meaningful storytelling. Rather than conforming to industry expectations, she gradually shaped a body of work that reflected her own artistic priorities. This period established her not only as a star but as a creative force capable of influencing the structure of Hollywood storytelling itself. Sustained success and cultural impact. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Hawn remained a prominent figure in cinema, starring in films such as Overboard and The First Wives Club. These works reinforced her ability to connect humor with emotional themes such as identity, aging, and resilience. Her performances often centered on women navigating transformation, betrayal, or reinvention, reflecting broader cultural conversations about female agency. While her films achieved commercial success, they also contributed to shifting perceptions of women in mainstream comedy. However, industry limitations persisted, particularly as she aged. Roles became less frequent and often less complex, reflecting Hollywood's narrower expectations for older actresses. Despite this, she maintained a steady presence, choosing projects that aligned with her values rather than conforming to diminishing opportunities. Her career during this time illustrates both achievement and constraint, success within a system that did not always evolve at the same pace as its performers. Still, her influence remained significant, as she helped redefine what female-led comedy could look like across multiple decades. Inner struggles and emotional reality. Behind her public image, Hawn experienced ongoing struggles with anxiety that began in childhood and continued into adulthood. These experiences often manifested as physical symptoms, particularly during periods of high visibility or professional pressure. Despite her outward confidence, she frequently described moments of internal overwhelm before performances or public appearances. Over time, she developed coping strategies that included meditation, therapy, and mindfulness practices. These tools were not adopted as trends but as necessities for emotional stability. Her openness about mental health later became part of her broader public identity, helping reduce stigma around emotional vulnerability in the entertainment industry. Rather than concealing her struggles, she gradually acknowledged them as part of her lived experience. This honesty added depth to her public persona, revealing that resilience does not mean absence of difficulty, but the ability to continue despite it. Her emotional journey underscores a central truth of her life. Success did not eliminate fear, but coexisted with it. Through sustained effort, she learned to integrate these experiences into a more balanced sense of self. Personal relationships and family life. Hawn's personal life included marriages and relationships that shaped her emotional landscape. She was previously married to musician Bill Hudson, with whom she had 2 children. actors Oliver Hudson and Kate Hudson. Over time, the relationship ended, but her role as a mother remained central to her identity. Later, she formed a long-term partnership with actor Kurt Russell, a relationship that has endured for decades without formal marriage. This partnership is often described as grounded in mutual respect and emotional independence, reflecting a different model of long-term commitment. Her family life has remained closely connected to her professional world, with her children also entering the entertainment industry. Despite public attention, she has maintained a focus on privacy and emotional stability within her personal relationships. These experiences reflect a broader theme in her life: the search for balance between public visibility and private grounding. Her relationships, like her career, reveal a continuous effort to build stability within a life defined by change and visibility. Later life and purpose beyond fame. In her later years, Hawn expanded her focus beyond acting into education and emotional wellness initiatives, including the founding of the Mind Up program under the Goldie Hawn Foundation. The program emphasizes mindfulness and emotional learning for children, reflecting her long-standing interest in mental health and emotional resilience. This work represents a continuation of themes present throughout her life: awareness, emotional regulation, and inner stability. Rather than retreating from public life, she redirected her influence toward long-term social impact. Her later career is characterized less by film output and more by contribution to psychological and educational well-being. This shift demonstrates an evolution from performer to advocate, extending her legacy beyond entertainment. Her continued relevance lies not only in her past achievements, but in her ongoing commitment to emotional awareness and human development. Conclusion and enduring legacy. The legacy of Goldie Hawn is defined not only by her filmography, but by her emotional authenticity and resilience across decades of public life. She navigated fame, personal struggle, and industry limitation while continuously adapting to new phases of her career. Her work in television, film, and advocacy reflects a consistent thread of emotional honesty and creative persistence. What distinguishes her legacy is not perfection, but endurance. The ability to remain present, creative, and evolving despite internal and external pressures. She helped reshape expectations for women in comedy and film, expanding the emotional range permitted within mainstream entertainment. At the same time, her openness about mental health and personal struggle contributed to broader cultural conversations about vulnerability and strength. Her life demonstrates that public brightness can coexist with private complexity, and that authenticity often emerges through sustained struggle rather than ease. In this way, her influence extends beyond cinema into cultural understanding of resilience itself.